Galveston, Texas. It is September 8th, 1900, 7 in the morning. Before this day ends, 6,000 people in this city will be dead. Right now, electric streetcars are moving down Broadway. Cotton bales line the wharves in stacks. The smell of salt and fresh bread moves on the same breeze. Children are walking toward the beach because the waves are spectacular. The city moves the way a prosperous city always does, without urgency, without doubt. This city will not die because of the storm. It will die because it was certain the storm could not reach it. One man gave them that certainty. He lived here. He had a title, an article, and the authority of the United States government. That name is coming. First, understand what this city believed it was. To understand why no one ran, you first have to understand what Galveston believed it was. The business district was called the Strand, named after London's great commercial avenue. It was an act of self-description. Galveston did not consider itself a Texas port town. It considered itself a world city. By 1900, it was the third busiest port in the country. More cotton moved through its wharves than any other port in the nation. Ships from 4 continents docked here. More millionaires per square mile than New York. The money built extraordinary things. Opera houses, electric lights on streets most of Texas would not see illuminated for another decade. Telephone lines, running water, 38,000 people living as though the 20th century had fully arrived. Galveston did not feel like a city still becoming something. It felt finished, permanent, built to last. It sat on a barrier island 30 miles long, barely 3 miles wide. Between the city and the open Gulf, nothing. No reef, no landmass, no natural barrier. The island was almost entirely flat, built up over decades, filled and graded and settled. The highest point on the entire island was 8.7 feet above sea level. A city that wealthy, that confident, does not build walls. It builds theories. The theory was not simply a guess. It was expert consensus, endorsed by professionals across the scientific establishment. Shallow offshore waters and a sloping seafloor would absorb any serious storm. The physics did not allow otherwise. There had been chances to test. In 1875, a hurricane struck Galveston. Engineers proposed a seawall. The proposal died. In 1886, a storm erased Indianola from the map. Engineers proposed a seawall again. It died again. The theory made a wall unnecessary. The man most associated with that theory was Isaac Monroe Cline. Tall and scholarly, 38 years old, 11 years as chief of the Galveston Weather Bureau, a doctor of medicine and of philosophy, a man who trusted the instruments on his desk more than the color of the sky. In 1891, he published an article that settled the question. The Texas coast was immune from hurricanes. It would be impossible for any cyclone to create a storm wave that could materially injure the city. Immune, impossible. The city arranged its confidence around those 2 words the way you arrange furniture in a room you intend never to leave. No one challenged them. No one needed to. The evidence agreed. There was one person in this city who knew the theory might be wrong. He had spent 10 years telling everyone it was right. 9 days before it arrived, the storm that would end Galveston's century was forming over warm Atlantic water 1,400 miles away. Late August, 1900. A disturbance forms off the West African coast, one of dozens each season. Most dissolve, not this one. It crosses the Atlantic, enters the Caribbean, strikes Cuba on September 4th. Winds over 100 miles per hour, hundreds dead. The Cuban meteorologists tracking it are the finest hurricane scientists in the hemisphere. They read the track correctly, not turning east, entering the Gulf. They telegraph Washington. The United States Weather Bureau receives the warning and files it. Professional rivalry with Cuban forecasters runs long and deep. The Bureau's own models show the storm curving east, away from the Gulf. The models are wrong. The warning is not acted upon. The storm does not curve. By September 6th, it enters the Gulf still strengthening. No ships carry wireless equipment. That technology will not exist commercially until 1905. The storm moves through water no instrument can reach. It is invisible to all who need to see it. The storm is in the Gulf. It is strengthening. Nobody in Galveston knows. One man might have known. On the morning of September 7th, Isaac Cline arrived early at his office on the 4th floor of the levee building. He had read the Cuba reports. Something was still in the Gulf. His barometer was falling, slowly, not enough to force a decision. He walked to the beach to read the water. The swells were too large for the wind reading on his instruments. A distant storm pushes energy ahead of itself. That energy arrives before wind, before rain, before any instrument confirms it. Cline stood at the shore and understood. Then he thought about his 1891 article. If he warned and nothing came, if the storm simply passed, the article would be exposed. So would he. He walked back. He would watch. He would wait. That evening, he went home to Avenue Q. His wife Cora was 8 months pregnant. 3 daughters, Allie Mae, 12, Rosemary, 11, Esther, 6, were at dinner. The house was warm. He was back at his desk by 5 in the morning on September 8th. Barometer unchanged. Wind calm. At 7, the streets below were ordinary. Children were heading to the beach because the waves were spectacular. 2 miles away, 93 children and 10 sisters were eating breakfast in a building that faced the Gulf. The morning felt entirely normal. That was the last thing it felt. The storm will reach Galveston in fewer than 12 hours. The barometer does not yet show it. The swells do. 9 in the morning. The wind is 45 miles per hour. The Gulf is rising to the south. Galveston Bay is rising to the north. Water from both directions. By 10:30, the warning has arrived. Cline raises 2 pennants atop the levee building. A red flag, black center. Storm of marked violence. A white pennant above. Storm from the northwest. Most people keep walking. They have seen warnings before. At 11, the bridges to the mainland go underwater. Galveston is cut off. No one can leave. The city is alone on its island. By noon, the barometer is in freefall. Cline goes door to door near the beach with personal warnings. No eyewitness will later confirm he did this. He is alone in his heroism. The streets carry water above the ankle. 1 in the afternoon. Wind 80 miles per hour. Families are moving valuables to upper floors. The streets carry 2 feet of moving water. At 2:30, the rain gauge atop the levee building is blown from its mount. Nothing left to measure. 3 in the afternoon. Wind 120 miles per hour. Streets carry 4 feet of water, still rising. The wooden houses nearest the shore are coming apart. Boards leaving frames, walls giving way. The Gulf is taking the city. By 4, Sister Catherine has moved all 93 children into the girls' dormitory. The newer building, stronger, farther from the water's edge. 5 in the afternoon. Cline sends a final telegraph. Wind speeds, water levels, barometer reading. The lines go down within minutes. The world outside Galveston hears nothing further. 5:15. The anemometer atop the levee building tears from its mounting. It is the instrument that measures wind speed. It is gone. Last recorded reading, 84 miles per hour sustained. Gusts of 100. Later estimates will put the actual peak higher, but those come after. Right now, the last confirmed number is 84. By 5 in the afternoon, the world outside Galveston will not hear from the city again until morning. What happens next, no one outside will know for days. 5:15. The wooden houses near the shore do not fall gradually. They explode. One wall tears free, then another. The storm surge catches what the wind has loosened and drives it north, inland. Wreckage accumulates. House on house, timber on timber, a moving wall building as it travels. 20 feet high, miles across. What the wind could not destroy, the wall destroys. What the flood could not reach, the wall reaches. Brick buildings, stone churches, it makes no distinction. The wall moves through the city like a second storm, slower than the wind, more thorough. 6:30 in the evening. A 4-foot surge rides in on top of streets already flooded. Every structure still standing now sits in 15 feet of water. The smell changes, salt and wet timber, and something else beneath both. Kerosene. Overturned lamps inside collapsing houses have caught. The fires do not last. The water finds them. But for a moment, the smell of burning moves through the storm. 7 in the evening. At the orphanage, the wind is 150 miles per hour. The dormitory lifts from its foundation. Not slowly, all at once, the way a lid comes off a box. 7 in the evening, 1 mile away. Isaac Cline's house holds 50 neighbors alongside his own family. The house is solid, built to outlast the worst storm Cline could imagine. A railway trestle, 1,000 feet of iron and timber torn from its moorings on the coast, hits the house. The walls go outward. The roof lifts. The water takes everything. 7 to 8 in the evening, the worst hour. Category 4 at its peak. Storm surge 20 feet above normal. The entire island is underwater, every inch of it. There is no high ground. There is no dry surface anywhere. The island has become something else, a shallow sea with a city dissolving inside it. There is no light, no electricity. There is wind. There is the crack and give of timber underwater. At Lucas Terrace, 4 stories of brick and iron. Hundreds of people shelter. Every one of them survives. 2 blocks away, every person dies. No logic separates the living from the dead. Only walls. Only the accident of which street, which building, which door. Survival is not courage. It is not wisdom. It is geometry. By midnight, the wind begins to ease. By 2 in the morning, the surge begins to recede. By dawn on September 9th, the hurricane is gone. What the survivors found when the light came back is not a description. It is an accounting. September 9th. Dawn. The water is receding, but what it reveals is not a city. 3,600 homes are gone out of 5,000. Every building still standing is damaged. At the center of the island, the debris wall remains. 3 miles long, 30 feet high, the compressed remains of streets. Bodies are everywhere. They float in the receding water. They are arranged on the beaches by the tide, lying the way the driftwood lies. The death toll cannot be confirmed. At minimum, 6,000 dead. The realistic estimate is 8,000. Some calculations reach 12,000. The exact number will never be known. Entire families were erased with no one left to report them missing. No record, only the space. There is no food, no clean water, no shelter for most who survived. The September heat is already building by mid-morning. And with the heat comes the smell of the dead. It will not stop for weeks. Isaac Cline drifted through the night on a section of wreckage with his 3 daughters. Cline searches the debris around him. He does not find Cora. The dead are everywhere, and there are too many of them to bury. What the city did next would become its second disaster. The bodies cannot be buried. 700 are loaded onto barges, taken 18 miles into the Gulf, weighted with rocks. 2 days later, they return. The Gulf currents bring them back. The weights were not enough. The gases made them buoyant. The city builds pyres. On the beaches, wherever the dead are found, they burn day and night. 70 bodies are found every day during the first month. The fires do not go out until November. Smoke is visible from the Texas mainland. Work crews receive whiskey rations. Some drink to keep working. When volunteers give out, men are rounded up at gunpoint. Galveston buried its dead in fire and smoke. Then it made a decision that no city in American history had made before. 1902. Galveston begins the largest civil engineering project in American history. A seawall. 17 feet high. Dutch engineers, curved face, deflected wave energy. Then, raise the city. 2,100 buildings lifted on stilts, homes, churches, a cathedral. Sand pumped beneath them. The island raised 17 feet. For 7 years, residents climbed ladders. Completed in 1910, the seawall holds in every hurricane that follows: 1915, 1961, 1983, 2008. On October 3rd, 1900, the body of Cora May Cline is found. The seawall saved Galveston from the sea. Nothing saved Galveston from what the sea had already taken. On January 10th, 1901, an oil gusher called Spindletop is discovered, 50 miles north of Galveston. Capital flows into Houston, not the island. Insurance rates spike. Investors look north. Shipping companies look elsewhere. In 1914, Houston completes its ship channel. 50 miles of dredged deep water open to ocean vessels. The shipping business that built Galveston migrates north. The cotton brokers follow, banks follow, wealthy families follow. By 1920, Houston's population is 3 times Galveston's. By 1930, Houston is the dominant city in Texas. The Wall Street of the Southwest becomes a beach resort. The New York of the South becomes a footnote. Galveston today, approximately 50,000 people. Houston today, 2.3 million. The city itself survived the storm. The storm ended the city's century. The system failed before the storm arrived. Cline's 1891 article was never retracted. The warnings were dismissed. The city did not fall to the water. It fell to the belief that the water could not reach it. Cline spent the rest of his life studying hurricanes. He became one of the finest. He never published on immunity. The National Weather Service's highest honor is the Isaac Monroe Cline Award, named for the man who got it wrong, then spent a lifetime getting it right. Tourists walk the seawall today. Couples watch the Gulf at sunset. The water looks calm. The Hotel Galvez stands where the orphanage stood. Every September 8th, the Sisters of Charity sing Queen of the Waves. Every year since 1900, it is still being sung. Galveston believed it was safe. It was not. The next story is coming. You will want to be here.